What's the reason you have been banned from an establishment such as a shop/bad/restaurant/cafe/etc.? Got banned from the mall when I was younger because I wore an inappropriate shirt that I bought in the mall. I was doing a history project on Poland, and it was well known this teacher gave an extra letter grade for bringing in food from the country. A friend from my previous school brought me to a bakery that made kochts that his family loved. I ordered one for my class, paying a deposit and specifying the day I was due to present. I ran in before school to get my order, and the woman behind the counter, the manager, told me that whoever took my order never sent it. There was no kochts in the store. Despite me presenting my invoice and pointing out the date they agreed to have it, she refused to refund my deposit on the basis we can make you one for tomorrow. I had to call the credit card company and dispute the charge that way. A few days later, my friend called me and asked why we were both banned from the bakery. Edit: how in the world did this blow up? Thank you all so much for the upvotes and awards. A few questions I have answered, in case anyone else is curious. I did not receive any bonus points from my teacher. She only awarded them if the food made it to class. This was my fourth quarter project and near the end of the year, so the only extra credit left for me to do was her regular bonus question on the test. She also did not teach any of the upper-level history classes, or non-history classes, so I never had another class with her. This grade boost was solely for the quarterly projects, which only represented 20% of our grade. Anything over 100% would still be counted towards the quarterly grade. The story takes place in the Boston area. This bakery was sold years ago and cannot keep new owners. Was banned from a mall arcade when I was a kid for holding all the whack-a-moles down. Also a fun story of someone who wasn't my friend but who I used to run track with. He thought it would be hilarious to put a pebble inside a piece of gum and throw it out the window of the bus on the way to a track meet. Thought it would just stick to the windshield and be a nuisance. Ended up shattering part of the windshield because we are in a bus going mf 55 miles per hour. Person followed the bus all the way to the track meet. Cops came. Kid was banned from track, not sure if he was banned from the bus though. When I was 12 my favorite thing to do was play laser tag at the one laser tag place in our town. I'd go every Friday night and play for 3 hours or so. There weren't many other regular players, so nobody else was getting better at it like I was. After about a year I was just wrecking everyone and the owner ended up banning me from the place because it was driving away customers. It really sucked because it was favorite activity and I was just immediately cut off from it. 6 years later I found a place in another city that had other players that played regularly so I was able to start playing again with people at similar skill levels. I got banned from Six Flags Great Adventure, New Jersey, several times in the early 90s. Back when I was in high school, season passes like $40 or something, making it a no-brainer to buy one if you intended to go at least twice. My friend and I went probably 5 to 7 days a week since we lived close by. We knew the park and its operations better than pretty much anyone who didn't work there, and eventually grew too comfortable with taking shortcuts through employee areas, trying to climb things we shouldn't, bothering other guests, and overall being a bunch of New Jersey teenagers, aka jerks. Thing is, the only IDs we had on us were our season passes, which we always assigned fake names for no pre-planned reason. Summer of 1994 my pass said Oscar Schindler. We eventually got in so much trouble they would take our passes and tell us we were banned for life. Well, another $40 at the front gate and boom, back in as Itzhak's turn. They needed at that time to figure out the flaws in their system. This is how I got banned from Chuck E. Cheese. I figured out that I could take a ball from the game where you shoot the clown's teeth and use it at the skee-ball machine. The skee-ball machine would count the points but not the ball used, which enabled me to play forever with just one ball and max out the machine. I did it on 2 skee-ball machines before someone noticed and I got banned/kicked out. My longtime barber had oozing pink eye and I merely told him I'd come back the next week. He told me not to come back at all. I got mistaken for somebody else whilst on holiday a few years back. I popped into a local shop to grab a sandwich and drink and a staff member forcefully marched over to me and yelled, "You're not allowed in here. I've told you before." As she grabbed my sandwich and bottle of water from me and put them back. I of course tried to protest and explained that I had never been in there before and was a visitor to the area, but she gestured for the security guard to come over to escort me out and stood watching us from a distance with her arms folded and a smug look on her face, occasionally shouting, "If she doesn't go, I'm calling the police." Thankfully the security guard was a little more understanding about the situation and happily looked at my driving license, which proved I lived in a different area. I offered to show it, but said perhaps it would be best if you didn't come in here again. Taking pictures of produce and price signs at a small grocery store while shopping. I was just trying to keep track of which stores had which food at cheaper prices so I could plan my shopping trips. I was banned from the library as a kid. Overdue fees, they let you go up to $70 before canceling your card. I was an avid reader and my mom hated taking me to the library, always said she would and then changed her mind last minute. It was a 6-mile walk round trip so I would take a wheeled suitcase and get around 25 at a time, the fees added up fast. Lol. I resorted to stealing books and returning them and I'm pretty sure some of the librarians just turned a blind eye. They forgive the debt when you turn 18. Feeding the seagulls. We ruined the entire upper decks dining experience with a few French fries. Dozens, maybe 100 swarmed. It was like a scene from The Birds. People had to evacuate. My friend and I were banned for life from a casino in Las Vegas 20-something years ago. We had gone for his 21st birthday which was the week prior. Despite being of legal age he looked appropriately 12. After being carded by a cocktail waitress for the 700th time, she recommended he go to the security desk, show his ID, and get a stamp on his hand showing he was 21, that way he wouldn't have to keep pulling out his license. Great. We go to security, they stamp my hand in 2 seconds, but start examining his ID real closely. They pull out the guidebook for all of the state's driver's licenses. They call over a supervisor. Finally they just say no, sorry, this is fake. It says under 21 on it. My friend at first calmly tried to explain that he turned 21 the week before, and was under 21 when he got the license, which is why it was on there. He lived in one state, was going to college in another, and hadn't gone home to renew his license yet, but it wasn't expired so it was valid. They said this is a private establishment, we're not comfortable with it, and we're asking you to leave. Now he had a bad temper, which I knew, and he had been drinking. I tried to defuse the situation and said hey, fuck this place. There's 100 casinos on the strip. Let's go somewhere else. He agreed and we headed for the door. 10 feet from the exit I hear fuck it, I'm giving that asshole a piece of my mind. 5 minutes later we were escorted to a room off the floor, had our pictures taken, and were told we were banned for life, and if we ever returned we would be charged with trespassing. I haven't been back to Vegas since that, but if I do I'd like to walk in to test their facial recognition software lol. Back in the late 1980s, I was in the Florida Keys with a group of friends. I got drunk and went to bed and some of the guys went out bar hopping. The next morning a deputy sheriff showed up at the place we were renting, told us to pack our things and he would escort us to the county line and we were not to come back. So not only did I get banned from an entire Florida county, I never did get a straight story about what the guys who were at the bar did to get us banned. Banned from the college cafeteria for taking in a digital food safety thermometer, and a copy of the State Health Department temperature ranges. They were consistently 20F 40F low, and food poisoning was a common problem. What's a childhood memory that almost all of us have? Not being allowed to turn the light on in the car. I feel like thunderstorms were a bigger and more frequent event when I was a kid. Accidentally snapping a ruler in half while testing how bendy it is. Staying up really late and feeling excited and kind of like you're doing something bad even though your parents are okay with it. Waking up early and getting dressed, realizing it's a weekend, or even better, a snow day. Riding in the car on a rainy day. Hauling ass upstairs after turning the lights off so whatever the darkness has behind you doesn't eat you alive. Either trying to step on no cracks or on only cracks on the sidewalk. That dreaded feeling of forgetting your homework. Taste of that wooden stick from Ice's Ream, you can't remember the ice cream but you can remember the taste of stick. Edit, wow this get big. Thanks for beating my record, pumping karma, and for award. How the school seemed a different world when you stayed late, or had to be there on a weekend. Our moms leaving us at checkout to look for something then the cashier starts to scan the items. Why is the moon following the car? And also imagining a weird human figure running along the skyline and / or sidewalk keeping pace with the car, that one might be more specific but I used to do it and I saw someone else post about it so it's gotta be more common than I think. Also, mechanical pencils as syringes aha. Having a wiggly tooth. The occasional random awkward silence in class until someone says WHYD it get quiet. Connecting the markers into really long lightsabers. Skinning the palms of your hands on the pavement. more specially the lower palms. Either tripping, falling off your bike, falling down in general. That burn and stinging and the scraps with just a little blood and grime. Edit, thank you for the award. Even though I'm an adult now, this happened to me a couple weeks ago. My dog accidentally pulled me down in the parking lot and I scrapped up my hands. Hasn't happened to me in years. What's the dumbest thing someone has ever said to you? I have a friend who doesn't believe many things if he hasn't experienced them himself. He told me he doesn't believe allergies are real. I asked why not? He replied, well, I've never had them. It's all in people's minds. Had a guy I was working construction with say, I hope the sun comes up on that side today, pointing west because yesterday it came up on this side and it was so hot with us being on the east side of the building. Yeah, bud, that's not how the sun works, lol. IT work a few years back. Had a director blow up after day 2 of trying to resolve a complex firewall issue that was affecting the finance department receiving invoices. And I quote, stop trying to figure out what the problem is and just fix IT. That the Golden Gate Bridge connects North America and Europe. Yeah. Don't even ask. If an egg is a fruit or a vegetable. My friend's girlfriend thought JFK was O.J. Simpson's dad. I was told that if I did some breathing exercises for 6 months and then checked my blood sugar, my T1 diabetes would just disappear. Isn't it amazing how dogs just come out knowing commands like sit and lay down? The man was stone cold serious. I thought windmills cool down the earth to stop global warming. Some guy on a Discord server insisted Pakistan is in Africa. I told him that Pakistan is in Asia and he called me racist and had a little rant. A work colleague once asked whether any of those ancient prophecies about the end of the world actually came true. A friend of mine asked me why we didn't see stars when we flew over them. She truly believed that when you were flying on an airplane, you flew over the stars. I was speechless. Used to work in Yellowstone. The amount of stupid coming through the park is unimaginable. Had a bison come and lay down close to the boardwalk at Old Faithful. A woman holding a toddler started running up to it. Luckily I had grabbed her by the back of her shirt and pulled her down. She kept screaming she was going to sue me and the lodge for ruining her perfect vacation photo. Then watching a 20-something walking out of the lodge in a swimming suit to go soak in the pots. Telling another tourist that he could not walk off the boardwalk. He became angry and demanded to be allowed to do this. When this happens we are on higher alert. We always had to watch tourists, like they had IQs of 10. A supervisor told me you can only get sick if you want to be sick. I'm from New Mexico and was once told that my English is excellent. Have also been asked for my green card once.